Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of action for the OB Builders Cup Series live from the Windy City at the Chicago Street Course here in Grant Park. And we are getting ready to kick off 50 laps of actions here around the streets of Chicago for the OB Builders Cup Series. I'm Taylor Burris, joining, of course, our producer, Austin Derbyshire, as we get set to bring you the action here from Chicago. Drivers are now getting ready to take themselves out onto the grid. We'll give you the quick full field rundown here once we go over the keys of tonight's race here today at Chicago, and it's going to be an exciting one to talk about. First and foremost, we have to say this track will be nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. During practice today, we saw drivers just struggling, trying to find that grip that they need, but unfortunately, some of them just pancaking any part of the track with the walls, tire barriers. You got to be careful. Also, you got to be careful with how these tires manage the different surfaces. It's a mix of asphalt, mix of concrete, mix of just oil from just everyday road cars racing on this or driving on the streets. So it's going to cause a little bit of difficulty for these drivers. And another thing to keep in mind, there's no cautions in this race. So that means there's going to be no problems for trying to figure out different fuel strategies for each and every single one of these drivers who are going to be competing in today's action. 50 laps here. And as we take a look at the standings here, it is, of course, Justin Levine at the top of the leaderboard, but he has to deal with the hard charger of Sean Conklin. Can anyone have anything to say for the six-time winner this season? Brandon Pascaluca sits third with Derek Heitman, who picked up the win at Pocono not too long ago, and fourth, Patrick Gitter, rounding out your top five. A couple of notable drivers who have worked their way up through the field, Matt DiCiani inside the top 15, and etc. But let's give you your starting lineup to today's action here at the Chicago Street Circuit. Starting on the pole position from Campbell Hall, New York, with a time of a 124.254 from Victory 1, it is Sean Conklin. Starting in the second position will be from Freedom, Ohio, Roger Pierce. Third place will go to Chesney, South Carolina's Evan C. with Paul Hill starting in P4. In fifth position from Charlotte, North Carolina, Brandon Pascaluca. From Blue Point, also New York, it is going to be Joseph Gulata. Rock Island, Tennessee's Lou Christian is going to be starting alongside Harmony, Josh Schaffners from Minnesota. And then rounding out your top 10 from McDonough, Georgia, Alex Coffey with the Precision Team, and Adam Benefield from Pell City, Alabama. Tim Wortman and Paul Brigoli will be starting in row number 6. Row 7, we're going to go a little further down, and we will find from Brooklyn, New York, Justin Levine, and from Smyrna, Tennessee, it is Tommy Gossett. Moving on to the next row in 15th position from Huntsville, Alabama, it is the Rocket Man himself, Austin Edstrom, and from South Boston, Virginia, is Chris Crosby. In 17th position, we'll find Corey Moore from Richmond, Virginia, and from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, John Binder. Rounding out your top 20, Chris Vinson in 19th, and Nashville's Tennessee's Chad Kibbe rounding out your top 20. Avila, Florida's Greg Carr and Alexander Carr round out your 22-car field as we are waiting for the release of the pace car driver, Fred the pace car driver, in the Porsche safety car, as we get set for action here around this circuit. 2.1 miles with a total of 12 corners here on the streets of Chicago. Of course, this is the last time that the NASCAR Cup Series in general will be racing here at the streets of Chicago in this configuration, as there is reports that they'll be leaving here to head to Southern California and competing in beautiful San Diego, California. And with that, drivers are now getting set to be released out onto the track here for one full pace lap and then 50 laps of action. We're happy to have you with us here on Grid Vision's coverage, as there goes Fred the pace car to lead them around this 2.1 mile circuit, and drivers will get themselves situated. Field works their way around the circuit here as we get set to go racing, pacing around. They are approaching just about towards the back half of the circuit, over towards where the fountain section of the circuit is. A lot of elevation changes as well that these drivers are going to have to deal with also because of just how many dips and hills that they will have to crest over in order to make it around this circuit here. So it's going to be exciting to see how these drivers will have to tiptoe. And the good news is the NASCAR Next Gen cars do not have rain tires. So the good news is we don't have to worry about a stray thunderstorm that happened like in the real world for the past 2 years. Hopefully we'll have some clear green flag, sunny skies this weekend for the actual race at Chicago for these competitors in the NASCAR Cup Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2025 as Field now makes their way up towards another hill. And this is going to be some fun passing because some of these hills that they have to go down are off camber a little bit where these drivers are going to have to get heavy on the brakes in order to make these 90-degree corners just about. Now approaching over to the carousel right there by the fountain. And we're going to see here how they will be able to negotiate through this circuit. It's one of the longer pace laps that we normally have to deal with. Normally we see this happening where they're starting towards the back half of the circuit when it comes to the road courses. So got a little bit of waiting to do here as we see some of the drivers now approaching up towards the start of today's action. 50 laps. We're happy to have you with us here on Grid Vision once again. Fred, the pace car driver, starts to pull away quickly to get away from these drivers as Barney the Flagman will have the green flag set in motion and ready to go racing here in Chicago. And already drivers spanning out to 2, 3, and even 4 wide as they make the run down into turn number 1. Big send by the Joseph Gulata, who sends it down to the inside, makes contact with Roger Pierce, as that's a big issue right there for multiple drivers and a big issue for Roger Pierce to be stuck in the barrier as Gulata definitely is trying to reach out to Roger Pierce, letting him know sorry about the contact, but a tough break for one of your front runners in the championship. Meanwhile, as we watch on and go back up to the front of the field, as we take a look at the replay between Gulata, here he is. He tries to send it down on the inside. Big time send. Contact also with a 26 of Paul Hill, and contact hard. Significant damage to both those two drivers, and also Schaffner got collected up in that incident. And temper starting to flare. Meanwhile, though, Sean Conklin, well, he's checked out to about a 2.5-second lead. Brandon Pascaluca sits in second right now. Paul Hill sits in third. As we go back to the battle for P4 with Luke Christian, Alex Coffey, and Adam Benefield, who are jockeying around for position as they come through the carousel of the fountain section of the course to complete lap number 1 up on the board. As they come through, here they come up to the top of the hill and approaching the final corner. There you see the 42 machine right there in the hunt as well of Corey Moore. Side-by-side battle for position as Luke Christian goes on the defense against Alex Coffey. Coffey almost makes contact right there with the outside wall. He's able to gather it back up, but has the inside line advantage, and here comes Benefield with a big run as well. He's going to try to see if he can go and find the opening, push the driver who has the better advantage, which is not going to work out as they come through the corner here, nose to tail, and Christian will hold on to the third spot as they go single file. And the 28, a little bit of sideways right there for Tim Wortman Jr. as he gathers it back up and tries to see if he can go back on the attack without losing position to Paul Bergoli. This is the battle on the track for the final step of the podium here in the opening laps. Oh, Christian hits the wall coming out of that corner. That opens the door for Coffey and Benefield to take the position and leaves him enough room to where he can slide back into the 5th spot ahead of Tim Wortman Jr. Nose to tail now single file as they snake their way through the S's and the carousel over at the fountain. And as they work their way through, here comes Benefield with a big run, trying to see if he can set himself up out of the final couple of corners to get around the driver of Alex Coffey. We do have 3 drivers already out of contention. Evan C., Paul Hill, and Roger Pierce all out of contention for this race. Joseph Gulata is 1 lap down, still on pit road, trying to repair the damages to his number 98 CFM machine. Great drive right now as they work their way around the circuit here, keeping up. Coffee holding strong over Adam Benefield. Christian, you saw the brakes glowing right there on the inside of that wheel as they come through the corner. Has to be careful. Don't want to use too much of those brakes, especially this early on, but you're trying to woe down a very heavy stock car around the tight street circuit of Chicago. So we ride on board now with Alex Coffey as he tries to find his way. Actually, no, this is Edstrom. My apologies. Austin Edstrom, he currently sits in the 10th position right behind Justin Levine, your point sitter, as he works his way through. As he holds on to the moment. A big wobble right there by Levine. That could open up the door for him. And Edstrom takes the spot away from Justin Levine for that 9th position. Beautiful pass right there. And that's one of the things these drivers are going to have to realize is it's tight circuits. Better to try to wait to see the driver in front of you makes the mistake as Levine slides his way through. Big almost time issues for him. He's able to gather him back up and now under pressure from Corey Moore in the 42 machine as he's trying to see if he can break into the top 10 with that precision machine. Out of the final couple of corners, there you see Corey Moore started in 17th. He's been quite the mover right now as he is now moved up about a total 6 spots in 11th. As the drivers now work their way on the front straightaway to put another lap on the board. 4 laps down on the docket out of the 50. Still quite a bit of racing left to go as these drivers now try to negotiate the racing action here. Meanwhile, there's Sean Conklin, your race leader, 6 seconds ahead of Brandon Pascaluca. He's still in the same frame shot, so if Sean Conklin does make a mistake, he could be there to capitalize. As we go a little further back to Pascaluca, actually, that was not the driver who I was thinking of. That was a different driver that Sean Conklin was getting around. I believe that was a lap car that was behind him. It was Evan C. and the 333. Apologies on that. So quite a bit of racing still happening as we watch on. There's the 333 of Evan C. who had some issues. He's back out on the track 2 laps down as we go to Alex Coffey in the 3rd position. He now has just about a 1.5 second advantage over Adam Benefield in 4th spot. Through the field, Luke Christian and Paul Bergoli are going to have a tight little battle here for that 5th spot. And also you have the drivers of Schaffner, Wortman Jr. and Edstrom as Austin Edstrom's on a bit of a run here, making up some ground as there you see Levine and Corey Moore battling for the final top 10 positioning as they come on the front straightaway. Five laps down as they work their way around the circuit here, keeping an eye on this battle between Levine and Corey Moore for the top 10 positioning. And as they come through the first couple of corners, Moore starting to lose a little bit of ground. It's about 3 to 4 car lengths between the two. It's trouble for one driver. That is the 45 of Chad Kibbe in the Trimble Ford Mustang. He's able to gather it back up. I think he might have just been a little contact and a spin around. No major issues to the outside barriers. And did he have a little help? It might be the case. Nope, just lost it around right there in front of, trying to pick up the driver who he made contact with. Was that? That was John Binder. He made contact. Binder does have some significant damage to the nose of his number 23 Chevrolet Camaro as he tries to catch up to Chris Vinson right there in the 33 TWRS machine. As it looks like Vinson also just tapped the outside wall, and that gives the opening possibility for Binder to make the pass. He'll look to the inside and complete it. Move him up a couple of spots in order to try and see if he can break into a top 10 run before the night is over. Brandon Pascaluca trying to find his way to keep up with the pace that Sean Conklin has just absolutely been setting ablaze lap after lap, staying strong up ahead of the competition. 7.6 seconds now ahead of Pascaluca. Alex Coffey still sits P3, but he's under pressure from Adam Benefield as those two start to do battle here as we work their way through a couple of corners. Let's take a look at that battle for third, if we can, with Coffey and Benefield. And as they coming through, and as we watch on with Pascaluca, we are joined now by the great Sheldon Atkins. And Sheldon, I understand you might have gotten caught up in the Chicago traffic getting over here.
Yes, the Chicago traffic, and by that we mean we spent way too many hours outside today, and a little kiddo needed to go to sleep, and she begrudgingly drug her dad off with her into that realm. But excited to be here to broadcast this as we look at well, it looks like business as usual here compared to what we've seen pretty much all week long. Heck, even the NIS I was in Wednesday. Conklin running away. Nope, I'm getting a look at turn one here, and you get a live reaction here for me, albeit a little bit late. Conklin gets through good, and Gulata just sends in a little too deep. A couple cars up into the wall. Looks like Roger Pierce got taken out. And there's a grade A beef. Oh, man, was there a war after this?
we may have. Unfortunately for Gulata, he decided not to continue on with the beef, nor did Roger Pierce. They are both out of the race.
I don't think that I can guarantee you. I don't think Pierce really had the opportunity to, based on how much that car was crabbed over after that contact. But I will say I did have the luxury of running NIS Wednesday night, albeit only 10 laps. This place is tricky, and I ran an A Open earlier in the week, and I think by lap 3, Sean Conklin was about 5 seconds ahead of the field, so it looks like he's up to his normal trajectory here in the OB Builders Cup this evening.
Absolutely. As we keep an eye on this, I mean, this is going to be win number 7 for Sean Conklin if he keeps up this pace here for him here today. And then Pascaluca, who's looking to have some good points run here for him as well. And I have a feeling if Levine does not pick up some much-needed ground and find his way up further in the running order, we could see a new points leader by the end of Chicago.
I'll tell you, Justin's done a great job to hold on to that crown so far this season, but man, the terror that Conklin has been on this year has been one that I really don't think I've seen at any point here on iRacing. Like, we saw a lot of pace last year out of a lot of drivers in, my first season here in the booth. And I haven't seen anything that compares to what that 10 machine has been putting down week in and week out. So if he loses that top spot to Conklin, I mean, it's like losing it to one of the pros, because that's definitely the route that Sean Conklin is going here in the long term.
Absolutely. And it's going to be... Yeah, this is the live standing. Apologies for some of the graphics issues right there on the names not showing. But as we speak, it is still very close in the point standings. Right now, it's looking to be about 12-point difference at the end of this race, if where the race were to checkered flag right now.
Say the one thing that might play into the advantage of Levine, though, as far as the championship goes, I mean, this is a year-round deal. The OB Builders Cup bringing in the 2003 Winston Cup Series format, the 1972 to 2003, where the entire year mattered. And once we get to the end point of the season, I'm not sure what the drop weeks look like, but, nothing's final until it's final. If Justin just stays on the tear that he's on and is able to keep himself within range.
Luke Christian has a big issue as he pancakes the outside wall coming out of the final corner. That will drop him outside of the top 5 into 9th position as Edstrom gets around him. But a tough break for Luke Christian, who is having such a good run inside the top 5.
Edstrom whittling together a really strong run here at Chicago. And no! In live time, we watched the commentator curse take out the Stanley Tools machine. I mean, he's only losing 1 spot, though. Potentially 2, because here comes Justin Levine on the back straightaway.
So here's the Luke Christian incident that we'll see here. He's coming up to the final corner. And here at Chicago, Sheldon, I got to say, with the uphill and downhill corners that you have to deal with right there as he slides, under braking, probably got a little bit of wheel hop in the rear tires right there, which caused him to loop it around out of that corner. But it's so difficult because you're going uphill, a downhill slope at an angle, to try to make the apex of these corners as we take a look at what happened to Edstrom here as we continue following this replay as he goes into the turn number 2. Just, I believe, hits the wall a little bit, and that just got his car out of whack and looped it around.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I noticed when I ran here Monday night as well as Wednesday night. If you consider it running, it was pretty much just running to the flatbed for me. It doesn't matter how you attack this track. Like, you can't. First off, you can't attack anything. You've got to back down. You've got to drive. Like you're in a little Tykes car around here if you want to survive. But on top of that, I mean, it's every lap. It feels like you're getting a different bag into every corner. You have no idea what the car is really going to do. And it all comes down to you've got no runoff area, first and foremost. As you can see with the wall is pretty much just absolutely lighting up every corner of this track. But you've also got these just insane, almost feels like potholes when you get over. Like right there, you see the toy machine bounce into the corner. You hit that just the slightest wrong angle, it's going to push you out.
That's one of the keys to this race here is just the importance of touching this track in any way you can of how the car handles, because you're going from asphalt in one sector to concrete in another sector. The oils and debris that this road, possesses over time, as we see and watch Coffee have issues, and it looks like also Chris Vincent has some issues as well out there on the circuit.
We'll get a look at what happened to Vincent here, but I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to be the same thing. It looked like it might have been a little bit of a throttle a little too soon scenario. And dealing with these next-gen cars, too, with it just snap that we constantly talk about, where everything feels like it's good, then all of a sudden it's not. Dealing with that here is a huge detriment. Thankfully, it doesn't look like we've seen too many incidents in the blind sectors of the track, though, where you just kind of loop around a 90-degree bend, and next thing you know, there's 5 cars parked in front of you. So this guy's pretty fortunate as far as that goes.
Of course, Sheldon, we got to talk a little bit about this. This is what appears to be the final race for the Streets of Chicago for the NASCAR series before, by the sound of it, of course, reported on by The Athletic and all of those amazing people over there, that the next time we'll be running a street race, it will be in the streets of San Diego, California, by the looks of it, in 2026. And there's talk that Chicagoland Speedway may be as trouble for Wortman.
Tim
Wortman it around in front, and unfortunately,
and what a save.
Schaffner gives him a little shot right there, but was able to save it. A beautiful drive right there by Tim Wortman.
I think that's the first time that I've seen somebody actually save something this week at Chicago. Good job by Wortman to keep the thing pointed in the right direction. Honestly, the shot from Schaffner might have been the saving grace for Wortman, because the car looked very sketchy before the contact was made. But as far as Chicago moving itself out of the way for something else, I think that's honestly the way to go. We know that the city of Chicago didn't really want NASCAR here to begin with. It's been continued lobbying against it that I've heard from a few of my fellow, or not some of my fellow, but some of my friends from the area. But couple that in with the fact that, hey, if you got a show that you can move anywhere in the country, why not touch on those markets? We have nothing in Southern California right now, since Auto Club has been turned into a Amazon fulfillment center. So see what we can do. Is the 33 machine of Vincent having more trouble. And also, Chicagoland just needs to come back. We saw how great it was the last couple of years of the Gen 6 car, and the Gen 7 there, that's going to be one heck of a show.
Absolutely. And, of course, it will be one of the 2 new street circuits coming in the world of motor racing in 2026. Of course, here in my home state of Texas, we'll have the Arlington Street Circuit for IndyCar racing in 2026 as well. So, going to be curious to see how it all plays out as, Justin Levine. Does he have an issue here, or is he trying to hold off?
There's something broken. He's got a towing brake. See the fold on the right front? He must have caught one of the walls coming out of the corner, and that's a mistake you cannot make. You know, it's the easiest mistake to make here at Chicago, but that's one that will take you out in a heartbeat. You see him limping the Mac Tools Camry.
Yeah, he's trying to limp it back at least to pit road. It would be a little too... Oh, that's going to mess up the suspension more. Not like what happened to Joey Logano last week at Atlanta, but that's going to cause some problems.
I'll tell you, if iRacing was able to render that 100%, be watching that car bouncing around.
The only time Yeah,
That's a full rotation right there on the right front tire, all the way around the track. The toe is completely busted out of the 19.
I'm surprised he's even able to drive it right now with how out of tow that tire is as we are on board with Justin Levine as he tries to tiptoe his way around the street circuit in order to get back to pit road. And as we keep an eye on the action here, Adam Benefield sits comfortably in the third position. He was able to get around Alex Coffey. He is now under pressure from Paul Brigoli for the fourth spot right now. There you see those two on screen as they enter into the corner.
Tell you what, Brigoli's seeing what I was expecting to see out of him here this week. You know, he's always got a little bit something extra behind the wheel when we come to these road courses. That 12 machine looking pretty dialed in right now. Putting together some pretty good lap times. You know, it's not enough to get up there to the 10 of Sean, but I mean, heck, you know, you capitalize and you can capitalize. And a good, solid top 5 run, and if he can keep it in one piece without too much pressure, because it's, you know, really difficult to get anything done here. Paul could be sitting here making up a lot of points that he lost, you know, a little bit earlier in the season with a couple incidents he got tangled in.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we take a look, point standing now changes completely. And we have a new points leader now. It is going to be Sean Conklin of How They Run. And it's about now a 4-point advantage to the driver of Sean Conklin after the incidents that happened to Justin Levine. So we touched on it, and now it has come to fruition. Pascaluca will sit third. He's still about 60 points behind, though, your second-place driver of Justin Levine. So not going to make any changes for that, but we do have a new points leader as they run here tonight.
Also, as we're looking at the points, too, we see somebody moving up into the top 10 there that I'm pretty excited to see. Oh, Austin Edstrom's been on a tear here, our colleague here in the Grid Vision booth. And I know that that's got to be a massive boost in the confidence realm for Austin, because he's always kind of held himself, you know, a couple notches back from a lot of these guys that we cover here in OB Builders Cup, or, you know, your NIS drivers and A-Open drivers that we cover here in Grid Vision all the time. And here he is in a field that's predominantly put together by Top Split. As he makes a mistake, because he knows I'm talking about him, he's probably cussing me right now from his team radio. But good run for that 87 here early in the season.
Watching on here as Edstrom tries to work his way around the circuit in 9th position. Trying to see if he can catch up to Luke Christian. He's currently about 5.7 seconds back. There's Christian trying to keep up with the driver as trouble for the 25 of Greg Carr.
And that's not going to help anything. You see the 25 machine now limping around here with some pretty heavy damage to the front splitter. That was absolutely a zinger from our producer. And he just gets in there full lockup, and it's so easy to do. If you're just the slightest bit late getting into your braking zone, there is nothing you can do to save that car from going into the tires.
Tough break right there for him, and unfortunately that will cause some more issues for his handling here around the circuit as he will try to limp it back to pit road.
Look right here, Josh Schaffner leading the 20 machine of Alex Coffey. Coffey putting together a pretty strong run. You see him get past the 12 machine of Paul Brigoli for 5th place. And now trying to surge his way to the front as he gets to the back bumper. Schaffner here. On the way through this little short chute. Not able to get the power down, though, quite yet. Now the 50 machine of Schaffner starting to pull a little bit of an advantage, but here comes Coffey back into the braking zone. And this is a really solid run that I wasn't expecting out of Coffey, because didn't think that road course ace might have been in the bracket. And in order to make passes here, you kind of have to be.
Yeah, you have to be. Ooh, trouble right there for Wortman Jr. in the background. Gets a little bit loose off corner exit. Is able to gather it back up, but will lose a spot to Luke Christian. As Christian now will gather back big time. How about some double saving right there?
I'll tell you, this has got to be this is a good run for Christian as well. We saw, you know, you remember when we covered Daytona, that car was sideways more often than it was frontwards. So Luke Christian really finding that extra bit here at the next road course on the schedule. So a lot of improvement made for the 3. He's up to the back bumper of Tim Wortman now. Working down the back straightaway. Wortman going to get a little bit more throttle off the corner, though. See what Lou's able to fight back with. Got to be real careful here, though. This is a corner we've seen so many mistakes happen in the Cup Series on Sunday. Wortman has the advantage.
Yeah, Wortman does have the advantage for the time being as we see what he can try and do and accomplish. They come up to the carousel, up through the fountain section of the course. Will Lou Christian try to get around another different way here? He lap traffic in the way of Tim Wortman. Wortman going to try to send it in deep on the inside. Lou Christian will follow as, unfortunately for the 25 of Greg Carr, nearly making more contact to the outside wall.
There goes Lou Christian to the back bumper. Wortman gets a bump the wrong way, goes around. A little bit of contact between the two here on the front stretch. Lou Christian going to walk out with the advantage, though, and take away the spot. That was the bow for 7th. Christian's got it now.
Great drive right there for him as he continues on, as Wortman can come back around and get around Lou Christian as we see the replay here. And that's got to be some significant damage.
And that right there was just a mistimed drop down into first gear. A lot of wheel hop. See right there out of camera shot, Austin Edstrom working his way past Carr, trying to close in the advantage that Tim Wortman has. Christian's trying to slip away, but the guy that slipped away from anybody, 22nd advantage over Brandon Passalacqua now, Sean Conklin. And the only thing that can really take him out of these things is lap traffic, as we saw last year. So,
as we watch on, Sean Conklin leading the charge. 22nd advantage over Brandon Pascaluca. We'll step aside, take a quick commercial break. You're watching Grid Vision's coverage of the OB Builders Cup Series here on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Grid Vision's coverage of the OB Builders Cup Series. We are just about at the halfway point of tonight's race. 25 laps are about to be put on the docket, 20 currently so far. Taylor Burris here along with Sheldon Atkins and our amazing producer, Austin Derbyshire, as Sean Conklin continues to lead over 21 seconds over Brendan Pascaluca, as heard one driver had an issue somewhere on the circuit. Let's take a look at the replay, Sheldon, to see who might have been the victim. And unfortunately, it's our good friend, Mr. Greg Carr, in the 25. And he'll send it into turn one and overshoot the braking point and into the tire barrier. Just a little kiss, though.
And we saw that a handful of laps ago from him, too. Just really struggling. Oh, Edstrom gets sideways as well. Backs it off the wall and keeps it going.
In the same spot that happened to him.
Yeah, it's, man, it's one of those tracks where just being sliced a bit off can really compound into a whole bunch of bad things as we look at Alex Carr here in the AT machine. And that's one that you're going to see a lot Sunday afternoon.
Turn one as well as that corner right there. Those are going to be the trouble spots. Oh, trouble for Wortman again as he makes it through the final corner. And no, he does not.
Not quite.
Right. Not quite. Misses it by a good couple of feet.
I think Google Maps threw him a wrong direction there, is what it looked like.
This is unfortunately the situation that ends Chris Vincent's hard into the tire barriers.
Yeah, that right.
Trouble for Chris Crosby, too. Going down the hill into the corner, into the braking zone, and loops it, and hits it, and destroys it.
That was such a hard hit.
So that's one of the things. Oh, we're gonna poke fun at Rocket Man himself again. Coming through and loops it around. Oh, there's more. Boop. Little boop on the back bumper. And are we going to Austin Powers this? I was going to laugh if he's going to try to... I was going to laugh if he's going to start backing it forth and backing up again to try to make it through the corner as Conklin comes out of turn one and smoothly makes it through as Edstrom comes down off of onto pit road, trying to repair some of the damage to his Stanley Tools Toyota.
I'm very grateful, though, that he didn't pull a Riley Herbst maneuver to rejoin the racing surface.
Yeah. I don't think you could really pull a Riley Herbst here around this circuit with how tight it is.
Well, we'll watch him try on Sunday, potentially.
We will see what happens on Sunday. Some damage there to the 50 of Josh Schaffner after some of his issues he had to deal with. But running in fourth position after getting around Alex Coffey, who sits in fifth, as trouble for Adam Benefield. Nearly loops it around, but is able to save it. Big time save as he taps the wall.
The most important thing, if you're a guy like Schaffner, well, really anybody in this field, the most important thing is just survive. Everybody's going to go out here and make a huge mistake. Everybody already has just about made a huge mistake. I mean, 90% of the cars here, luckily, we just got done with the big one at Atlanta last week. Most of the field is either over a lap down or out of the race entirely. Just creep around here, tiptoe. You know you're not going to come out here and blow the doors off everybody and win this week. So just go out there and run a good, clean race. Run a quiet one at the most part, as we see more issues for Austin Edstrom. Biting off more than he could chew. And oh, that could have been a lot worse for the 87 machine as he takes it behind the wall.
That looks like to be a day done for him.
I would love to hear his in-car commentary, or just have him up here in the booth to do commentary. A little Neil Bonnet Talladega situation would be pretty cool.
See about talking to him here in a few minutes, but we'll watch on as Coffey tries to get around to see if he can keep up with the driver of Josh Schaffner in fourth. So those two have a good little battle.
Austin did do the smart thing, it looks like, and leave the channel so I can't pull him up here even if I wanted to. Look at Lou Christian now inheriting sixth position.
sorry, hanging on in 6th position. 7th was 7th a lap down. Pretty. It's like it. Look at Justin Levine in the Mac Tools Camry. See what happens here.
More issues.
Big lockup, but keeps it out of the wall. Front of the pack, nobody with really anything to hold up against the 10 machine of Sean Conklin. 22nd advantage now over second place Brandon Passalacqua. So look at Passalacqua kind of just running on his own right now with the machine of Carr, a handful of car links behind him. It's definitely a good day in points, though, for the 6th machine if he can just hold on and make it to the end, as well as the 83 of Adam Benefield, somebody that's, you know, had a lot of speed and a lot of good runs this season, but more often than not, just caught up in somebody else's mistakes. So this is definitely the kind of race that Adam was hoping for this week coming in.
Absolutely here as Field works our way around the circuit here. And, oh, Benefield nearly hits the wall again.
Oh, and Schaffner, well, the wall that Benefield missed, Schaffner found as he slams hard into the tire pack. Board with Schaffner coming out of 1, everything good and clean. Now bringing it into turn 2, and well, he thought about going into turn 2, but the rest of the car didn't agree with that idea.
Nope, they did not agree at all.
See if we have any more issues. Yeah, we will. Schaffner's struggling now. As you see, heavy damage to the front of that car. The splitter pretty much chewed off of the Cornmobile. So really unfortunate to see it all crushed up, but a really good paint scheme slapped together for the 50 machine this week. I'm pretty positive based on the glimpse of the sticker on the right rear quarter pound that is another high quality machine hammered out by Johan. Oh no! And around goes Schaffner again.
Oh no, just at the halfway point, and Benefield's also on pit road as well. But Schaffner will beat him with the toe.
Yep. At least visually.
Coming through the corners here, going through the gears, and oh, this is an interesting spot that he lost it at.
Oh, I mean, it's the crest of a hill. And at that point, you are loaded up into first gear. And it is so easy to snap it around. That was one of the things that that was one of the things I thought was gonna be the thing that killed me this week when I ran. It was everything else that got me. Somehow the climbing over a hill, and I guess it's from all the practice I did at Lime Rock last week, was the only thing that I felt confident in.
And we will report Adam Benefield out of the race. As our
I
race,
need to stop.
Yeah.
I need to stop talking about people. I need to start talking about Sean. We'll make it a little more exciting here.
I would think so. Maybe talk about Sean a little bit more, as Pascaluca will take the race lead over with Sean Conklin.
Yeah, and Sean lost a lot of time getting to pit road, so I'm wondering if everything's okay in the 10-car camp, or if that's just how much time it takes to get down pit road here. But that was a 20-second advantage that he did lose to Passalacqua there. So
and Sean Conklin is back on the track.
All right, so well, we know how long it takes to get down pit road, apparently. That's 40 seconds, though. It doesn't sound right. I wonder if Sean made a mistake beforehand, or if I'm just looking too hard for a storyline here. But Brandon Passalacqua, yeah, now you're race leader. John Bender putting together a pretty solid run. Sitting in 7th spot at the moment, but we get the replay machine up here, so let's see what happened. Out of all the things that could have happened, that's basically hitting the lottery for the 23 of Bender.
Absolutely, dodged a bullet there.
Because we could have hit a tire pack, we could have hit the wall after the tire pack, hit the wall coming into the corner. Just a little lazy slide out of turn 1. So Sean Bender probably the luckiest man here right now.
certainly is the case here as we watch him work his way around the circuit. Currently for Bender, he sits in 7th, 1 lap down, trying to see if he can catch up to the driver of Tim Wortman Jr. to move up a spot.
And all the way up to 5th place. Put a lap down right now. 42 machine of Moore, the first car a lap down. That is 5th position that Sean Conklin has carved his way all the way through. Paul Bergoli, Luke Christian, Sean Conklin, and Brandon Passalak with the only 4 cars on the lead lap. I mean, what an impressive run.
Impressive run indeed. And even with Brandon not yet having to pit, Sean Conklin has made up 4 seconds already.
I mean, I don't even know how you do it, right? Like, how are you that strong over such a strong, dominant field?
It is crazy to see what he can do here around this circuit and just how much talent this kid has. And it's like, I don't know how he does it, but he is continuing to just impress week in and week out.
So Ken Byrne has created a monster with that 10 machine, which I know is the end-all goal. And it looks like it's really come to fruition. I mean, he's had so many bright spots last season, this track being one of the first main ones. Like, once he came here and ran NIS last year and A-Open last year and just beat the doors off of everybody in the field, including Garrett Maines, it really seemed like Sean solidified that confidence and momentum to just make himself into a better driver week in and week out. And it was such a cool climb to watch. Because beforehand, he was human. And after that, it just kind of seemed a little bit out of that as we see the 20 machine of Alex Coffey. A good day gone wrong here as he struggles to get through turn 1, bounces off the fence, loops it around, and gets her back going. But looks like a lot of heavy damage to the right front of the 20 machine.
As Fuel works away, Pascaluca is losing more and more time as Sean Conklin. They just set the fastest lap of the race last time by with a 24.90. Flying around this circuit.
Yeah. Right now, looking at the point standings right now, Levine still just barely hanging on up at the top of the board over Sean Conklin. The way they're running currently. Passalacqua, though, moving himself up into the 3rd spot. Derek Heitman sitting in 4th with Patrick Gitter 5th. And 25 machine, a car hanging on to 6th place, which is a very impressive run for him currently.
Certainly is a very impressive run, and we'll see what he can try to do here today as we're coming in on 20 laps to go here next time by as Sean Conklin is in closer and closer as trouble for Greg Carr possibly again. Yes, it is. And the 20 of Coffey.
Yeah, and I feel like you're going to keep seeing that struggle out of the 20 machine with all the damage we saw him collect earlier. You know, once you throw something out of alignment in these cars, you know, at a normal track, it makes it so difficult to keep the car under you. When you're at a track like this where it just all comes down to how precise you are, it really throws you for a loop, literally, more so than figuratively.
I'm getting ready to say literally by the looks of it.
And it looks like these two just both spun at the same time on different ends of the track. Maybe a sympathy spin for the 20.
One decided to do it in turn number 12. The other decided to do it in turn 1.
Yeah, it's synchronized. So we look at Levine, 7 laps down after all the damage he caught earlier, but still hanging on, and that's going to carry him up to 12th place right now.
Yeah, he's...
Yep.
Yeah, if he's able to break the top 10, he can get the points lead back.
Well, he's holding on to it right now. Levine showing that he does not have any desire to give up easily on this points lead.
Pascaluca on pit row. This will return the race lead back over to Sean Conklin as Justin Levine gets one of his laps back and tries to set his sight on Schaffner. He will get a position back from Benefield since Benefield is out of the race. So if he plays his cards right, he could have the possibility of breaking into a top 10 finish.
Oh, we've still got 20 laps to go here, too, from the streets of Chicago, and I can tell you anything can happen. We got a lot of cars out here that are already torn up pretty bad. comparable to the damage that Levine had earlier. So, you know, there's some more guys that are going to find their way on the pit road here and probably behind the wall before this thing is over.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one there, Sheldon, as we watch on and see Levine, and there you see Conklin right there behind him as well. This is to put Justin another lap down on the circuit, so we'll see how quickly Conklin will make short work of that.
I do think Coffee is on pit road fixing damage. I know Benefiel is because we saw heavy contact out of Benefiel. So that's 2 spots right there. Schaffner as well. He's been on pit road for a while. So if he can just go and, you know, sneak those laps away from those guys before they get back on track, if they do return to the track, it'll definitely bode in favor to the 19 of Levine.
Absolutely, as we ride on board with Sean Conklin as he works his way around the circuit.
Main thing you're seeing here is just pure confidence out of this kid. You know, you can't see half of the corners until you're in them here, and that doesn't stop Conklin a bit. He just keeps the thing wound up. Look at that aggressive shifting down into first gear for every one of these corners. That in its own, to be able to do that confidently lap after lap, corner after corner, I mean, it stresses me out. Half the races I've done here this week, I've ran, you know, in second because I didn't trust myself not to wheel hop the thing into the corner.
I have to agree with you on that one. It's very crazy of how you have to tiptoe around this circuit.
And Sean just throwing caution to the wind, throwing the car as wide as he possibly can, using every bit of real estate here. Tell you what, I never thought I'd say it, but I'll be happy when we show up to Sonoma Monday. This
to an actual road course situation.
Look, I know I can finish at Sonoma. I survived 15 laps here and felt like 40.
Certainly it seems like the case when you're coming around this circuit of how it feels.
You look at the 3 Machine Christian.
Ooh, taps the wall right there. Not significant damage, but enough to where it could be a little bit of cause of concern.
That's center splitter damage for the 3, so that's really gonna hurt him when it comes to getting through these corners. It's certainly a part of the car that you want to be folded the right way and not the way it is right now. Three Machine Christian now trying to figure out where his marks are after the damage. Pretty good run up into Columbus here.
Trouble
car,
maybe.
More struggles for the 25.
Yeah, by the looks of it, I think he might be having more issues for him. Yep, overshoots it, gets back on the throttle a little too quickly, and loops it around.
Bender.
That's going to be...
Bender gets hard into him.
Let's see how bad the damage is. He's already on pit road right now as we speak, and he has got some significant damage to the right side and left side nose of that machine.
Apparently, crab was on the menu this evening for the 23 Machine of Bender because that thing is crab walking.
It really is, and that's a tough break right here for him as the gap now between first and second, it's about 25 seconds. As there are 4 cars left on the lead lap. Paul Bergoli, the final car that is the next car to be put a lap down as Bergoli comes out of turn 1. Conklin comes across the line now, so it's only a matter of time as Bergoli nearly taps the outside wall off turn 2.
So, Taylor, where would you ideally like to see us bring a street course to?
Well, there is one place that I think would be a phenomenal idea to a street circuit. And why not bring it to the original NASCAR street circuit? Bring it back to Daytona Beach. I mean, I know we have Daytona International Speedway, but I think nothing would be nothing would be more perfect than for stock cars to race up and down A1A and right there alongside Daytona Beach.
I've got 2 markets that I think NASCAR could really push and make a successful and potentially long-term deal out of.
Go for it.
Well, number one, I mean, we've never done anything in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
All the great dirt, you know, we've had a lot of great drivers come out of Washington throughout the years. I feel like maybe we could try to make a push somewhere in the Seattle area. That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how the longevity would go on that because, I mean, well, we've never really tried anything up in that area. So who's to say it would work, who's to say it wouldn't. But one place that I think just fits perfect is we see Levine having more issues in the 19, but just keep your foot in it for a couple more laps because you're going to pick up some more spots here. But one place that I think would be perfect, and I know that the guy in that 19 machine right there would absolutely agree, if we could find a way somewhere around the New York market, as many years as we sent the banquet up to New York City, I feel like that would just be would work itself into a near crown jewel in no time as far as a street circuit would go here for NASCAR.
The only problem is, motorsports in general has been trying to do a race in New York City for decades. IndyCar has tried, Formula One has tried, and yet they can never seem to put it all together. It would have to take a masterful effort, and I applaud. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit sad that NASCAR, instead of going to go race at a well-received and well-established street circuit like Long Beach and have probably the most perfect American motorsports racing weekend of all time in, all time at Long Beach Street Circuit, have sports car race, make a full week event of it. Sports car racing on Friday, NASCAR Cup Series on Saturday, and then have the big show with the Indy cars on Sunday. I mean, I know it probably would never happen, but Long Beach Street Circuit. Or as our producer says, we should do the NASCAR Cup cars on the Las Vegas Street Circuit with Formula One, and then the Miami Street Circuit. Miami Street Circuit on the same weekend with Formula One.
I'll tell you,
I don't
you
think
could dream
that'll
big. Yeah, you could dream big on the F1 deal, but F1's obvious demeanor when it comes to anything motorsports related in America, I mean, it would never come into fruition.
But the good news is we can do it here on iRacing with, of course, the Miami Autodroma circuit coming here in the next build for iRacing as in the near future. And the talks of other street circuits coming on board. I mean, we have, this in Mexico City as trouble again for
Edstrom.
Tough break for him.
Comes back to the track 14 laps down, and looks like Rocket Man's parachute failed to deploy here. When he almost made it. Oh, he did. That's not too bad. I mean, looked like a runaway truck up in the on the Pacific, the Great Ocean Highway, but able to make it work.
Well, while these drivers are working their way around the circuit, we're about 15 laps away from the checker flag here in tonight's racing action. You're watching Grid Vision's coverage of the OB Builders Cup Series from Chicago here, and we'll be back after these messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Grid Vision's coverage of the OB Builders Cup Series as we are closing in to the final 12 laps to go here from the Chicago Street Circuit. It has been the Sean Conklin show for the most majority of this race, minus a couple of laps. He currently has a 32-second lead over Brandon Pascaluca, and they're the only two cars on the lead lap. Paul Bergoli sits third, Luke Christian fourth, Tim Wortman Jr. rounds out your top five. Corey Moore is the final car, one lap down in sixth. The next car is 4 laps behind is John Binder. Alex Coffey sits 8th, 5 laps down. Justin Levine breaks into the top 10 in 9th. Greg Carr has trouble for Alex Coffey once again as he loops it around and looks like to be the same spot he did a little bit ago.
Oh, and that's heavy damage again on the right front of the 20 machine. He's probably looking at a meatball penalty here at this point with the amount of times he's stuffed that car in the wall in critical moments. Oh, back tires come off the graph, and you see heavy damage to the right front suspension there. Push that in a little bit. He's going to keep it putting around the track, but you can tell he's definitely struggling with the handle on the 20 Camry.
Looks like some trouble for Tim Wortman as he tries to gather it back up and continue on his way. As there you see Conklin, and right behind is Paul Bergoli, who he just put a lap down.
Paul Bergoli, a little bit of damage to the nose of the 12 machine too, so he's hit a thing or two here along the way. No, there he goes, hitting the inside corner wall as well. Maybe he's trying to set up a little too aggressively for the apex. See right front damage on the 12 machine, but a good run nonetheless. Still hanging it out there.
Watching on here and seeing who else we can keep an eye on. Pretty much everyone is just out there trying to survive the last few laps. We have a total of 15 cars left out on the track. 21 did start the event, but we've already lost a bunch of drivers as we see at the moment. As we watch Luke Christian sitting in fourth, he's 11 seconds behind Paul Bergoli for the final step of the podium.
You know, I just thought something made myself a little nauseous, by the way.
Go for it.
NASCAR 25 Lavies at Chicago Street Course, when that comes out.
Oh, goodness.
We love our console crowd, but we also know how our console crowd can be online.
Yes, they can be.
It is crazy how when NASCAR designed this course, they looked at it and they said, you know what, how's about we just oops all Tums Heartburn turns all over the track? That's what it feels like. Is that first turn at the Charlotte Roval just copy-pasted about 6 or 7 times.
Absolutely. So we'll see how that plays out for them and when the game comes out later on this year.
Yeah, well, drivers are already getting playtime on it. Saw Noah Gregson. That was a huge deal on YouTube this week.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
and it was pretty crazy to see him out there running pretty strong with it.
Everybody out there speculating on what is this little clip that Noah posted.
I have to say the UI, the interface when you're racing on the track looks pretty nice and clean, not too chaotic.
I mean, look, you got two of the best in the NASCAR sphere of gaming finally getting to partner up and finally getting total licensing for it. So, you know, this is what we dreamed of I know everybody's, on the fence after being burned so many times by the NASCAR license. You see the 20 machine of Alex Coffey getting out of the way of Sean Conklin here on the front stretch. Conklin had to work through some fairly heavy lap traffic. But, everybody's just nervous to commit to it after everything we've seen the past handful of years. But I think that in the hands of Monster Games and with the budget and the resources of iRacing, I don't see a way that it, is dead on arrival like we've dealt with.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be the game that everyone is going to be excited about. Of course, with iRacing building, it is going to be one of the top games of the year.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure this is, as this partnership between Monster Games and iRacing grows and they, get a couple games in the backlog, I really feel like we're sitting on the tipping point here of having our own equivalent, own rival to the F1 series when it comes to high quality motorsports.
Agree.
Experiences, which is what's been missing. Back when we were kids, we were spoiled, Taylor. We had, Thunder 2003 come out same time as Dirt to Daytona and NR 2002. And it was like that every year until EA got exclusivity. And even for a little bit with the EA exclusivity deal, it was pretty good.
All the way until 2009.
And we know that good games is what builds a strong fan base, with your younger demographics, with the kids and stuff. Because we were addicted to those games for years. I'll still fire up Thunder 04 or Thunder 03 and make a career mode.
Thunder 03.
Get locked into it. And just get locked in for about 2 or 3 months until I finally get bored of it.
Yeah, Thunder and Dirt to Daytona were my go-to games in the NASCAR world when it came to that time period.
Dirt to Daytona was amazing. Just all the short track stuff for the modifieds in Dirt to Daytona was insane.
Absolutely, it was, and that was one of my favorite parts. Was you could actually see these drivers, these types of racing. Before, for the longest time, it was always just that one group. With the NASCAR division, the Cup Series, couldn't run the other stuff. As we have a change of Tommy Gossett has finally joined the race and passed Roger Pierce, so he will finish 21st. He may try to go for another position before it's all said and done. He can pass at least 2 other drivers, Paul Hill and Joseph Gulata. Maybe more.
A lot of provisionals here today. I guess Tommy decided he wanted to get out here and at least get a couple laps in to secure some points. Maybe a little bit of a start and park situation for Tommy as we see battle shaking up now. Well, not really a battle. Sean Conklin trying to get past. Can't quite pull the number on that machine with the ever-changing paint schemes here on the circuit. It's Corey Moore in the 42 machine that he was putting another lap down.
Mm-hmm. Corey Moore now 2 laps down here with 7 laps to go.
Tim Wortman Jr. now sitting in the 5th spot. Now, I don't think that when he came into this race today that he was even thinking about a top 10 run, let alone a top 5 here, but a good job to capitalize on a bunch of other people's mistakes and to just put together a nice, clean day for the most part. As clean as it gets here at Chicago, if you're not Sean Conklin. So, Tim Wortman definitely making up a lot of ground here in the standings with this solid top 5 run, if he can just get it around a handful more laps to seal the deal.
He's just got to tiptoe around here, and they can have some good finishes for the most part.
I still can't believe it out of the 3 machine, though, of Luke Christian. We saw it at Daytona. It seemed like 10 laps in, he was spinning every minute. 2 weeks ago, we were at the Daytona road course. And definitely just making gains as far as road course racing as a whole for the 3 machine and able to clinch, potentially a top 5 spot here if you can just get around a handful more laps. I'm tired of jinxing people, so I'm going to leave it in their hands here before I seal the deal for them.
Tommy Gossett has moved up into 19th position. He still can pick up a couple of more spots here as he tries to set his sights on Evan C. for the 18th spot.
Well, I don't think they're going to come out here and fight with him, so I think Tommy's in good shape on that.
Absolutely. He could possibly get to 17th.
That's a big flux in the points there for Tommy Gossett. As you see Sean Conklin getting past the 23 machine of John Bender. That is 7th place. Currently scored 5 laps down with a pretty torn up Coors Light Silver Bullet. As definitely, as we lovingly refer to them, a beer can. Crumpled up beer can at that.
Yep, crumpled up beer can and see how he's able to gather it back up. Keeping an eye, looking through as we see who else can be making some charges. As Coffee is trying to work his way around, he's trying to see if he can get around the driver of Corey Moore.
Here with Coffee and the 20 machine up to the back bumper now. The 42 of Corey Moore. Corey Moore on a different lap, 4 laps separating these two. Coffee not really making a position here, but getting by nonetheless.
Gonna move on and look at the cloud cover starting to come in. It almost looks like it would be about a rainstorm about to happen here.
Oh, please give us that. Anything else, right?
It would make it more interesting. Everyone out there on slick tires and it just pours rain.
Hilarious.
Do it on the final lap.
Conklin's had to deal with some pretty crazy stuff here at Chicago on the final lap before, so.
Oh yeah, we saw in the past where he had an issue on the final lap and had to make his way around.
Look at Sean Conklin in the 10 machine. Up a lap on just about everybody in the field, aside from Brandon Pasalacqua, but Pasalacqua on the other half of the track right now compared to him. Just 5 laps for him to seal the deal here and to continue his dominance at Chicago. And what a great send-off for him, too, if this does end up being the last race they run here on this circuit.
Proper send-off.
Has won literally everything you can win here at the Chicago Street Course.
Five laps to go for Sean Conklin as he tries to negotiate the street circuit here of Chicago. And as he does so, he continues to do in a dominating fashion once again. And for Brandon Pasalacqua, he's currently still sitting in second. He's got about a minute advantage over Paul Bergoli right now.
Yeah, Brandon. Another one of those guys that doesn't have to worry about too much right now. Just tiptoe around here, no pressure. Definitely in the middle of no man's land here. So can't really gain anything, can't really lose any. Well, you can lose a lot. Just try not to lose it.
Absolutely.
Get a replay here. It looks like 20 machine of Alex Coffey having more difficulty. So a rough day, just getting rougher.
I'm pretty sure. And the thing is, we got another road course coming up. And I know it'd be a little bit more different scenario compared to the street circuit of Chicago. But Sonoma will provide, I think, a little bit more stability for some of these drivers.
Coffey just reaching out and ripping another corner off of that machine. Definitely tore the suspension that first hit we saw a few minutes ago. And I think that's the hit that's going to finish it off as you see him pull the 20 machine behind the wall here. Which I think gives Justin Levine the opportunity to snake away another spot here and move back up into 8th.
Yeah, black flag for Alex Coffey as well, so that will give the position up to 8th position for Justin Levine.
Question is, does Levine get around here without, knocking the toe link out of the Mac Tools Camry?
Oh, that's a big question.
Austin Edstrom back up to 11th right now as we see Coffey rejoin the track here.
As Edstrom will try to see if he can maybe break into the top 10 before this is over. He may have a shot of that, depending on Coffey's situation.
Also depends on Carr as well. There's only a lap separating him and Carr.
Yeah, so this could be a good run for him to recover.
I think that is Carr that we're looking at right there with a very torn up machine working down the back straightaway here.
That is Carr right there.
That is a Carr.
Multiple cars we're talking about.
It's got two of them in here.
Conklin on pit road.
Oh, and he
Weston
misses the box. Has to
He's
throw it
taking
back in reverse.
He's taking tires. Question
He's
is,
trying
does
to-
Pascaluca, what will he do? That's going to be the big question as Bergoli gets his lap back. Waiting to see, and Conklin's back on the track.
Such a big advantage. He's able to come down, throw in 4 fresh tires, and get it back out onto the circuit without even losing
Any time
anything, really. Loses, 30 seconds, but still has 15 in stores. We see Justin Levine go for a huge slide and a tank slapper. Do the Tokyo Drift theme as our producer's going to sing it for the next lap and a half for us, like he always does.
We're just ready. We're ready to see how this all plays out. Of course, for Sean Conklin, 3 laps to go for him. 16-second advantage as he works his way up through the final couple of corners. He's going to get the popsicle sticks next time by.
And our producer is still singing the Fast and the Furious theme song.
Yep. Don't worry, our producer has not lost his mind yet.
Oh, he did. He dealt with a whole year of
Yep.
he dealt with
it's gone.
he dealt with a whole year of TOS violations with me and Eds from last year. He lost it somewhere then.
I have to agree.
At this point, it's just whatever makes the man happy.
we do.
As we watch Sean Conklin just creep his way around here. 2 more times left from Chicago.
Oh, Pascaluca almost bit the bullet right there, trying to get around Luke Christian. As Luke Christian tries to give way and to the inside, as Christian nearly tapped the tire barrier right there.
Conklin hit the wall a ton there.
Uh-oh.
And
Oh,
it looks
he's
like
got
he
some-
messed the steering up. The steering is messed up on the 10 machine. He's
Oh,
going to go head on
goodness.
into the fence here, into the
He-
tire pack.
This is 2024 all over again in the NIS series. Pascaluca could have a chance to steal the win from Sean Conklin as we take a look at the replay.
And it is crab walking hard. Yeah, he catches the fence. It was actually a corner before this. Caught the fence coming out of the turn. Knocked the left front toe out. Then stuffs it into the tire pack here. And now he's in the more tricky technical sector of the track. Is he going to be able to at least keep headway?
He's still got another lap.
The advantage really not closing a whole lot. Only 2 seconds that he's lost so far in a half a lap.
That's a hard hit. I mean, that car, I'm surprised it's still running properly.
It's
White
not.
flag.
It's not. Conklin wanted to give us something to talk about. Down there is what happened.
Drama on the final 2 laps for your race leader as he tries to coast it on home. The gap is 14 seconds now between Pascaluca and Sean Conklin. Conklin trying everything he can. It's still 14 seconds now. It hasn't really gained any time. Pascaluca's got to try to
Big
find
lock.
something. And a big-time lock right there as he tries to gather it back up.
I guess he decided to fold the car up so to make it through post-race tech is the only thing I can think of here. But yeah, heavy deja vu to his B Open win last year. Oh, up into the fence again. Oh, that's gonna be
Now
a
down to
huge
12
loss of
seconds.
time.
It's 12 seconds right now.
That's gonna be a huge loss of time. But he was calculated and not knocking down the fence. Now
He almost knocked down the fence right there.
he's almost knocked it down everywhere at this point. But I think he's really just trying to minimize on it as much as he can here. 11 seconds now, the advantage, just a handful of corners. Main thing I'm worried about is getting through this final turn here. because that last turn is so tricky, and there's so many different places you can stub your toe.
Pascaluca
look at
trying
Pastelacqua.
everything. He's trying everything he can, but it's to no avail. Sean Conklin, beaten and battered on the final 2 laps of Chicago, wins it here with pretty much a destroyed race car by over 10 seconds.
No, he's just showing off at this point.
Yeah, that's got to be, that is a show off there. But what a drive, though, by Sean Conklin.
Absolutely. Another great drive from the 12 machine of Paul Bergoli to be able to seal this thing up and finish third after a race where everybody pretty much fell apart. A huge gain in points for him as Conklin has it up against the tire pack that killed him. Shades of Chase Elliott here when he sent it into the heartburn turn at Charlotte and knocked down the tire pack.
Great drive by those competitors here as Sean Conklin is your race winner. As we give you the full field rundown, it's Conklin, Pascaluca, your only 2 drivers to finish on the lead lap. Paul Bergoli finishes P3, 1 lap down, followed by Luke Christian. Then, of course, you have Tim Wortman Jr. rounding out your top 5. Corey Moore, John Bender, Alex Coffey, Justin Levine, and Alexander Carr round out your top 10.
In 11th place, we got Rocket Man Edstrom, followed by Greg Carr in 12th. 13th place going to Adam Benefield, Josh Schaffner in 14th. Coming home 15th is going to be Chris Crosby, followed by Chris Vincent, Tommy Gossett, Chad Kibbe, Evan Say, and Joseph Gulata round out the top 20.
21st is Paul Hill. 22nd, Roger Pierce to end the conclusion of tonight's race here today. And I got to say, Sheldon, while we get our winners up here momentarily, what a amazing drive right there by the driver of Sean Conklin.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's also, the performances you expect to see out of that kid. I mean, week in and week out, we just see dominance out of Sean Conklin. And, I mean, the rest of Victory One and all these Ryko guys. And Sean's at the top of the ladder over there, putting together great races. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens when he gets to the point where he works himself into pro. Because when he gets there, man, that kid's going to be something else to watch.
He really is. And go ahead and bring up our 3rd place finisher. Mr. Sheldon Atkins is with Paul Bergoli.
You know what, Paul? I think this is our first time getting the opportunity to interview. It seems like it's always a position off when it comes to me and you sitting down here. But you've always been pretty strong here on the road courses. In my experience in the booth, just talk me through the war of attrition that you had to fight today to be able to bring the thing home on the podium.
Well, it's not bad. My first laps were maybe 4 hours ago, so it was a tough one. I got lucky there with that pile up at the beginning, but pulled it through. Not bad for a couple hours of practice.
And honestly, not too tore up of a car today either, which seemed to be the hot topic for most of these guys. Everybody knocking a toe link out at some point. So how does this shot forward really kind of help the momentum going into Sonoma next week?
Well, we'll see. We always got a shot at these road courses, so we'll see how the week turns out, and hopefully I can get a couple more laps in and maybe a race or two. See where we're at.
Paul, you definitely brought something special to the track here this week. Who do you want to thank and shout out for this podium finish?
Well, first I got to thank my wife for putting up with this bullshit that I do every day or every week, and definitely Ken and the Ryko boys. They're putting in a ton of work, a ton of hours every week to get us on track and put us in a position to win. And that's about it. You guys for broadcasting us every week. It's good to have a good league with a good broadcast.
Paul, thanks for coming up here and spending a little bit of time with us after what I can only assume is probably one of the most physically exhausting races on the circuit.
Oh yeah, it's tough, but we'll see you again.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hand this on. You too, buddy. I'm gonna hand this on over to Taylor Burris with our 2nd place finisher on the evening, 6 machine of Brandon Pastelacqua.
Here with Brandon, and Brandon, I gotta say, my friend, It was a close. You could have almost came home with a checker flag here today with the win and with the incident that happened with Sean Conklin. What was the strategy? Because you were one of the few drivers who was pitting as late as possible into this race.
Yeah, for sure. They have no idea what happened to Sean there at the end, so it sounds like he had a little mishap towards the end there. All I know, I figured he was 40, 50 seconds ahead of me, and then my spotter said he was 20. So yeah, I was catching him at the end. He must have had pretty bad damage, but he's a rock star, so he built a big enough gap where it didn't matter. But yeah, I just decided to pit later because I just wanted to get the 5 bonus points for leading a lap. I was trying to stay as close as I could to Sean, so that when he did pit, I would be able to get that bonus point. And then I stayed out about 5 more laps just because I had clean air, and I figured that, you know, I'd probably lose lap time pitting, you know, closer to when Sean did, with there being a little bit of traffic. So that was just a strategy just to try to gain back a couple of seconds, but ultimately it didn't make much difference.
Well, we head on off to Sonoma here in a few, and after this race, the road course racing still continues. You feel like you can continue on with a strong run?
Yeah, definitely. I take pride in my road course racing. Do a lot of IMSA stuff, and we did the 24 hours of Daytona the last 2 years. So, you know, I love road course, and I really think it tests all the driver's abilities, and it, you know, shows who's versatile in the car. I enjoy them. I try to get just top fives when we come to the road courses. If I can get a podium like I did today, then I'll take it. And I'll take it.
Well, that is Brandon Pascaluca coming home in second place, as Mr. Shelton Atkins will now talk to our race winner here today, Sean Conklin, who joins us in the booth.
Yeah, wow. I couldn't have scripted this when I woke up this morning, but sitting here next to Sean Conklin, race dominator, race winner, almost the race of Santa Claus too, because that last two laps attempted to give it all away, but still able to rein it in and get it across the line there to seal the deal. First thing I got to ask you, man, is what the hell are you doing that's so different from everybody else? Every time we come to these road courses, man, it's not even a competition. Everybody else is, you know, racing for second, and you're in an entirely different area code. So what are you doing behind the wheel that's really just factoring in? Because these guys need help right now.
Well, first things first, that 2 to go was my brightest moment. So, that's definitely a little embarrassing, but the plan is I kept watching the track temp go down. It just kept going down and down and down and down. And I knew in practice I almost hit a 23, and that would have been a blistering lap. And the track temp went down to like 85 here, so I was like, screw it, we got big enough lead, we're gonna go for the fastest lap. So I pushed that thing as hard as I could, and I just I guess I wasn't used to the new tire feeling. You know, it's a lot more snappy in the front end, because you're putting a lot more wheel into it as the tires wear, because of how tight it is, and it got loose on me and died. So that was unfortunate. That was a little embarrassing, but probably won't do it again. Just I saw a really good opportunity to set a absolute heater down, and wound up costing us a little bit of time, but it's all right. We still got the win. I wouldn't have taken that risk if anyone else was closer, but we were able to get a good enough lead that I could do that. But as far as the rest of the race, the strategy for most of these races and what keeps me going through the whole thing, you know, because 50 laps is a long race, so at some point it's going to get a little bit boring, but just pushing every lap and trying to be as consistent as possible is what kind of keeps me going, because even if you get a race like this, you know, I just try to pretend that I'm in the Coke Series, you know, because if I get to the Coke Series and we're at a road course, all those guys are pushing nonstop too. So I figured it's better to try to learn that now and try to stay consistent and be fast over multiple laps. There's a few laps this race where I wound up hitting the wall, or, you know, that I had that one half spin, I think around midway through the race. So those are mistakes that, you know, I'd rather iron out now before, you know, if I do get to the Coke Series, and hopefully we can be consistent in some of those races.
Yeah, no, I watched I watched your onboard Wednesday night. No, it wasn't Wednesday night. I think it was Monday or Tuesday night when I was in A Open with you, and it didn't go too well, as I'm sure you noticed looking at the running order at the end of the race. But I was just watching like in qualifying, just like your roll center and like how much you're hauling around here. And this is a track where everybody's on eggshells and nervous every second of every lap, because if you make the slightest mistake, and we saw it all night long, we've seen it all week long, just being what feels like a millimeter off on a braking point can end your day. Like, it's no in between. Like, it's either you're gonna make the corner or you're stuffing it into the tire pack and the car is done, you're toast, and breaking up an upper control arm. How do you keep the confidence up? Because these turns, man, they're blind corners, and you don't know where the car is going to point. What is it that gets you to? I don't know what I'm exactly trying to say, man, but just how do you have the balls to do it? To summarize it.
I don't know. For a track like this where it's mostly blind corners, you gotta slow the car down like way more than you would think, and then you kind of just aim the car at the inside wall, like you want to hit it, but then you gas up, or you let out of the brake to increase your speed, so the car wants to push around the wall and not into it. So it's kind of something like that. Like, it's hard to explain, but you just kind of aim towards the walls and just try to keep enough speed to get yourself around them and not hitting them. And sometimes you make a mistake, or you carry too much speed and you're gonna hit the outside wall and exit, or you don't carry enough and you're gonna hit the inside wall. So those are the kind of mistakes that I was talking about earlier that I want to iron out now, a year before we get to have our chance at Coke. And if we do make it, hopefully those mistakes can be ironed out by then.
I got a good feeling that you'll be probably in some of the best standing when it comes time to make it to Coke next year, and definitely gonna be following that along. But after sealing the deal here for what feels like the 100th time from Chicago Street Course, who all do you want to thank and shout out for this dominating performance yet again?
I just want to thank sponsors on the car: Gossett, Napa, Rennie Belt Construction, FedEx, Best One Tire, and Ryko. We were working on this setup early last week. We got it to a pretty good point, and then I had to leave for the weekend, go to Real Life Racing in Stafford, and Roger took over, and he did a phenomenal job as well. They were putting in just as many laps and got this set up to be ultimately 2/10 to 3/10 faster than when I left it, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for a road course, that's a lot when you're building the setup, especially when you get it to the absolute limit. So yeah, just big shout out to those guys that kept working on the setup throughout the weekend and got it to the point where it is now.
Well, Sean, thanks for coming up here and giving us a peek through the curtain, and congratulations on the win, buddy.
Thank you.
And I'm going to hand it on over to Taylor Burris here to lead us on out on the evening after an action-packed day of racing from Chicago.
It absolutely was full of excitement right there towards the end, as we saw Sean Conklin continues on with his dominating performance, win number 7 for him. But for that, we'll see these guys as they head out west to wine country and beautiful Sonoma, California for the next round of the OB Builders Cup Series. You can catch all the action next Thursday night. And for the entire Grid Vision family, and for, of course, our amazing partners with the group of Whiplash Cams, I'm Taylor Burris. He is Sheldon Atkins, and our producer, Austin Derbyshire. And we will see you next time on The Grid.